Welcome to Red Ball Express, to another CoH2 replay cast, and we're gonna be having today a nice 4v4 from Ironhide. He's playing as the Soviets, as he most often does, and his ally is gonna be Major Pain over here, playing as the Soviets as well. Nico playing as the British. I believe I've already seen Nico play with Ironhide, not sure. Sauron playing as the British. So we're gonna have two British, two Soviets against one Wehrmacht, the real McLaren, OKW, Kanoma, Wehrmacht, Jiz, and Ronin Shaki playing as Wehrmacht as well. So, the two British on the left side, Red Ball Express, very laney map, very favorable to whomever can camp it out the best, because usually it starts to camp out along the middle. Very symmetrical map. As you can see, 2 munitions points in the sort of central middle part. And on the sides, we have the victory points and the fuel points. And then 1 victory point in the center in a very enclosed space between these logs over here. So it looks like we're going to see some pretty standard starts out of everyone. Some machine guns from the Wehrmacht and the British. Some machine guns from the Soviets as well. We have the tier 2 being chosen by both Major Pain and Ironhide, which is definitely going to help in getting that suppression that they need to defeat these enemies if they should come into the right side. It does look like the Pioneers have managed to pretty much ignore building anything, because the real McLaren is going for MGs, and he's also going elite troops, which is going to be interesting. I've had one more game that I casted that where elite troops was kind of a detrimental thing, so we'll see if it works better this time. So on the left side we have another assault. We have some assault grenadiers over here by Shaki, Ronin. So we're gonna see that going very much early game focused. The conscripts managed to pretty much flank the house with the machine gun. Again, the machine gun is gonna be able to get into the big manor, but it's probably going to be killed before it can do much. Especially if these conscripts keep shifting around and keep staying in heavy cover. Unfortunately, it doesn't look like the directional cover will help these conscripts from Ironhide, who will be suppressed and forced to retreat. Pretty much no problem there for the Germans. On the left side, it's going way better though for the Germans. We have the assault grenadiers managing to push away the British forces pretty much entirely, and we have a Vickers machine gun which is coming under fire from an NG-42, which is going to be pretty bad for it. On the right side, another machine gun has moved in to assist and has forced Major Pain to retreat. Ironhide is also bringing up his own Maxims along with Major Pain's. Stolen Doctrine selection from the Soviets. Kanoma, the OKW going for his off-the-ground forces. So we're going to see a pretty standard Doctrine being chosen. Nothing too weird, nothing too spectacular. On the left side, the assault grenadiers are going to be finally forced to retreat by the Vickers machine gun, but there's also the fact that the MG-42 over here was actually kind of losing the fight against the Vickers, so this is going to be interesting. We have a mortar, double mortar purchase by the Germans, which is definitely a good choice. As the fighting on the left side is starting to get campy, the mortar will become increasingly more effective against the British. Especially if the British do decide to get a mortar pit, multiple mortars can counter it fairly well. On the right side, Ironhide is going to be pretty much forced to retreat entirely except for his machine guns. We will see if he can. We have Molotovs being upgraded for him. Molotovs are definitely a good choice to get the enemy out of this building if he can manage to approach unsuppressed. Molotovs can also be definitely useful to deny some cover from the enemy, but there isn't that much cover on this side of the map. Nice usage of the Maxim to pretty much destroy this machine gun in the building. As you can see, there isn't any kind of windows firing from this side, but there is a window over here that can still fire in this sort of arc. So what you want to do to approach this house is you want to approach it from here, and that will prevent your troops from getting suppressed from any machine guns that might be there. So we have the 5th machine gun from Real McLaren. This is going to be very interesting. This is not going to allow him to make use of the stun grenades or the Jaeger Light Infantry upgrade from his own Doctrine, but what he will be doing probably is he will be going for some Stormtroopers, I'm not really sure if this strategy is going to work out, but the huge amount of machine guns will definitely help out in keeping the Soviet infantry at bay, but unfortunately will be very weak to mortars, so Ironhide getting out that mortar squad is very crucial for the Allies on the right side. Another important thing is the fact that the Allies have conceded control of the center to the Germans, which is probably a mistake. They should at least be sending 1 or 2 squads over there in the center to harass. We have a Bofors going on from Sauron. Sauron also going for a fuel cache, which is definitely a good choice as the Allies right now are lacking in fuel. They do have to control the left side fuel point, but it's a very shaky one at that. So the good choice of the Bofors will probably be countered though by the mortars. Sauron will have to protect his Bofors from mortars as much as possible. So he will have to make sure that he is coordinated with Nico to make good pushes against these mortars and keep them from firing at the Bofors. The Bofors will definitely though keep control of the fuel point in the British favor as long as it's live, which might not be very long with these mortars. Nico also going for a mobile assault regiment, which is going to be interesting because the infiltration commandos are not the best on this map, but they can also do a lot of damage, and also the land mattress is going to be excellent for any kind of prolonged engagements. The Soviets on the right side have been completely pushed back by the German swarm of machine guns and also the Volksgrenadier army of Knoma, who has 3 Volksgrenadiers and has gone for a Raketenwerfer fairly early on, which is definitely a good choice as the enemy might be going for some kind of early vehicle. You never know about that, so getting out that early Raketenwerfer even before you can upgrade one of your Shreks on your Volksgrenadiers is definitely a wise decision. We also have from him Mechanized Regiment Headquarters purchase, which means that he will go for a Lux most likely. I would definitely go for a Lux, but what I would do is I would use the Lux on the left side of the map and not on the right side of the map. So we have a mortar pit going up from Sauron, so it looks like Sauron will be going for a more defensive approach, and that is also mirrored by his choice of doctrine, which is Royal Engineer Regiment, which will allow him to use Standfast, 50 munitions for self-repair on his own emplacements, which is definitely a good choice. We have a flame half-track on the left side. It's going to be allowing itself to destroy the mortar pit without the brace structure going up. This is definitely a micro mistake. Brace structure going up way too late, and it's going to die from the flame half-track. Flame half-track smartly approaching where the enemy Bofors could not hit him through this little backline area behind the buildings. So that was definitely an excellent move by Jizz. And I mean, saying that name unironically is just part of the job, unfortunately. So he will go for Fishtoon Support Doctrine. Definitely a good choice if it goes to a long game, the artillery, and the mortar half-track. Mortar half-track could be used to counter the British emplacements, and later on the artillery can also be used to counter British SimCity type tactics, and also any sort of heavy concentration of infantry from either side of the map. Thanks to its range. Whoa! It's actually being... What the... It's shooting through the... Okay, that's really, really weird. But good job by Ironhide. Gonna be picking up the flamethrower that... I'm not sure who lost that. Let me see. Did you lose a combat engineer? No. Then Major Pain. Losing a combat engineer with a flamethrower. Likely. Let me see. Yes, he lost the combat engineer with a flamethrower, but Ironhide smartly riding into the flamethrower, picking it up, and using it along with a Molotov to deal heavy damage to the machine gun. But unfortunately, a replacement one is on the field, or rather on the building. And there's also another one that's very low HP over here. The other machine guns seem to be positioned around the forest area, just to prevent any kind of flanks. One of the machine guns already going down, probably the one that got flamethrowed in the church, or rather in the manor. Also, the real McLaren going for some fuel caches, which is definitely a good choice, along with Jizz. So that's good for the Germans that they are mirroring. In fact, they are actually they're actually surpassing the Allies in fuel cache count, which in a long game could be crucial. And we also have the VP lead to think of, because the Axis have had triple cap for this entire time, and the Allies are already down to 200 points, and so they pretty much will have, well, about 3 minutes of time to capture one of the VPs, or pretty much lose. Yeah, they've got 3 minutes from now. So it's pretty much a race against time for the Allies, and this is not going to help them. Excellent mine placement by the Drew McLaren, going to be placing on the S minefield on the center VP. to just give it that extra defense that they need. The Luke's on the right side, though, it's not doing too well because of the AT gun from Major Payne. Of course, there's also the fact that neither Ironhide nor Major Payne have AT grenades being upgraded. But the AT gun will be smartly repositioned by Major Payne and will pretty much keep the Lukes at bay. But we also have an Assault Grenadier flank. Over here, Ronin is going to be coming in from the left side, pretty much switching sides entirely, like an Italian, and also going to be flanking with these Assault Grenadiers. But unfortunately, the Maxim spam from the Soviets is going to easily be able to halt this attack from the left side because of the pretty fast repositioning from Major Payne and Ironhide. So the Assault Grenadier assault will be pretty much repulsed. Ironhide is going to be going for an anti-tank grenade on the Lukes, but he might lose a conscript spot to get that off, and unfortunately he does. Another anti-tank grenade going down, bringing the Lukes to almost no HP. Very unlucky for Ironhide to not get the finishing blow there. Nice mortar half-track for Jizz, going to be dealing heavy damage to the emplacement from Sauron. Sauron going to be using the artillery barrage to probably deal some damage to the units around here, possibly this mortar. No, it's targeted on the MG. I would have targeted on the mortar half-track or the normal mortar. But at least the fact that he's Royal Engineer Regiment with that step cost ability, he will be able to at least repair his Bofors in a fairly high rate. And somehow the British have managed to obtain the flame half-track that was dealing so much damage to them on the left side. And this is definitely a really good moment for the British, because right now they will be able to pretty much force away whatever German units are here. And also, Jizz pretty much lost his entire infantry force, it looks like. So he's got one Grenadier squad and one engineer, which, as you may know, is really not that much, and that will definitely allow the enemy a lot of freedom on this left side to recapture this point, thanks to these infiltration commandos. Also, we'll be able to hold them with the cloak, already up to 14 kills with the infiltration commandos. So really good job by Nico, stealing that flame half-track and also getting out those commandos. Getting out an AT gun with his tier 2 definitely was important, and also land matches, so Nico is going to be huge on this left side to hold the area. Also stealing a pack from Sauron, so the British right now, I've missed a lot of good action, but thankfully I've missed nothing on the right. The Soviets have been able to at least stabilize the situation and not lose any more ground, which means that now they have been able to pretty much concentrate a bit of force to make an attack, but unfortunately it was ill-fated as the S-mine field along with the Lukes doing some good work in repelling the enemy. Now, the S-mine field being placed by the real McLaren. Real McLaren up down to 3 MGs. He went for a mortar, probably a bit too late. Honestly, the mortar would have been a good pick earlier on, but at this point, the Soviets are starting to switch to a more mobile approach with the Su-76s. One Su-76 going down. I'm pretty sure that wasn't Ironhide's Su-76, but I might be wrong. Whose stats are these? Okay, these are Major Payne. So yes, this was Major Payne's Su-76. Very unfortunately going to go down from the Raketenwerfer. It looks like we have 1 kill for the Raketenwerfer. So that was definitely a misplay. You should always be very careful with your Su-76. It is a very safe unit that is easy to keep alive, so there's no excuse to lose it. On the left side, the British haven't managed to get another Bofors up, so they're going to be creeping up with emplacements, it looks like, which is going to be an interesting choice to just keep hold of this one victory point to give them a little bit of extra breather. They are down to 64 VPs. The Lukes was anti-tank grenaded by these conscripts, it looks like, from Ironhide. Definitely going to be important to keep the Lukes chained up and pretty much damage the engine. At the same time, the conscript from Major Payne, along with the Maxim, are pushing up on the fuel point, thus securing a bit of a resource lead for the Allies, it seems, as they finally managed to get control of both fuel points, and also, yeah, despite the fact that there are free fuel caches for the Germans, after this point is captured for the Allies, they will have the fuel lead. Excellent usage of the Su-76 to destroy the mines, destroy the S-mine field, pretty much not nullifying those 60 munitions. Good push by Ironhide. This constant squad with a flamethrower definitely proving its worth in flaming out that mortar, and he's going to be able to steal the mortar, and I would steal the mortar if I was him, because even though what I said about mortar not being as good later in the later stages. Oh, that's very unlucky. His own Molotov cocktail, pretty much destroying his own squad. Very unlucky for him. So the mechanized assault group, the mechanized assault, starting to become useful, and we have tier 4 out of him, tier 4 out of Ronin. That's very interesting, as usually Assault Grenadier players don't really tech up that much, but the tier 4 out of him with the Panzerwerfer is definitely a good choice, because the British are turning up very hard and the Panzerwerfer is the excellent choice. Now, there's also a Stug-Chi from Jizz, which means that he's gone for tier 3. Again, I would have possibly gotten for tier 3 with the Mechanized Assault player and tier 4 with the Festschung support player, because the Festschung support player doesn't have access to the Tiger. Now, excellent plus with the Stug and the Flaming Barrage from the Mortar Half-Track, gonna be destroying one of the Bofors emplacements. We also have a Centaur coming in for Sauron, which means that he's gone for tier 3. Nico hasn't gone for tier 3 though. He's still floating about 300 fuel. That's partially because of the fact that he went for a very manpower intensive build with the Infiltration Commandos and the AT gun. So that's a lot of manpower being used up on lower tier units. So the T-34-76 by Ironhide, tier 4 being built by him, that was definitely a good choice, especially as he will have enough resources for the IS-2 anyway, thanks to the fact that the Allies have the resource lead. The Centaur is still making its push on the right side, and it was designated a command vehicle, which I'm not really sure it was a good choice, as when it's so far up the enemy lines, you'd at least want it to be able to escape to designate it as a command vehicle. And also, I do believe that the superior choice to designate command vehicle is the Bragg Carrier, which he could definitely purchase, as he does have 1,100 manpower, and the Bragg Carrier is only 210 manpower. So, I don't know, really think that that was a big mistake out of Sauron, losing his Centaur for no real good. On the right side, the Su-76s from Major Payne are starting to push up against the German armor, but they will be repulsed by these two Panzerschrecks. We have some Fallschirmjägers being called off map. This is definitely either a misclick or a mistake. He probably tried to, just spawn them out of this manner, but what you want to be doing when you're spawning units out of buildings is to check if they're occupied. There's a bit of an exploit. You can just click on one of your units and right-click when there's this little icon to get into the house. Right-click on it, and if there's enemies in it, it will flash red. It's a bug. You should not use it. You should abuse it, because, well, they're not fixing it, and it's been in the game for about, like, 7 patches or something. Nice Panzer technician from Real McLaren. He will not use it correctly, though, because he will come out in the center, or rather in the front of it, instead of in the back of it. And if Ironhide can do a nice attack round, possibly even just a normal shot from it being not in the cover of smoke, nicely decrewing the Panzer IV. But there's 2 Sturm Pioneers around. Sturm Pioneers with excellent repair speed, of course. Gonna be able to recapture the Panzer IV, and I'm not sure why he's not repairing it, though, with the other squad. Truly get going and repair it. On the left side, the British still do have the complete control of the left side, despite the fact that they're being artilleried into the pretty much new century by the Germans. They're also going for 1 LUFH howitzer, which is definitely an excellent choice, but the British have managed to crucially capture the center VP and fortify it, and also the center munitions, which means that they're going to be able to spam mines and spam their abilities like Stand Fast over here, which has been used once again. And it looks like one of the T-34, or rather, sound like one of the T-34. No, that wasn't a T-34, that was a Su-76, it sounds like, or rather, it looks like from this wreck. So I'm not sure what the Su-76 was doing facing backwards to the enemy, but that really didn't work out too great for the Allies. Major Payne going for a lot of Su-76s while he's waiting for the M4C Sherman dispatch from the Lend-Lease Tactics that he chose. Lend-Lease Tactics, of course, being a very interesting doctrine, thanks to the fact that you can pretty much skip... it's a bit of an extreme, but you can definitely skip every tech except Tier 2 when you're playing with this doctrine. Tier 2 because of AT guns. These guns are pretty much necessary all the time. So the Assault Grenadier Horde will be finding some shock troops by Ironhide. Ironhide also managing to help out his allies on the left side by making a bit of capping moves. with his shock troops, second shock troop squad, and on the field for him. I'm not sure if 2 shock troops are necessary, but definitely will help out in defending against these assault grenadiers and in general against the German infantry. As the Germans didn't really go for a lot of elite infantry, they've got a couple of grenadier squads that aren't being upgraded, nor are vet. They've got 1 Fallschirmjäger squad and a few assault grenadiers, but definitely light on the infantry compartment, which is definitely hurting them a lot as they have pretty much lost the entirety of their map control, which is devastating, honestly, as they were 50 BPs away from the win. We have a couple of Panzerwerfer fires against the British, but it looks like they will miss. The Land Mattress also firing at the LEFH howitzer but missing. Land Mattress with 17 kills and 2 veterancy. I mean, I've been focusing more on the right side, so unfortunately I've been missing a lot of the action on the left. A lot of very decisive action, it seems. Ooh! The Su-76 actually destroying an entire squad of Fallschirmjägers with a normal shot, not even an artillery shot. That is insanely lucky for Major Payne. So it looks like a Panzer IV flank is being made by the Rio McLaren, who's spamming Panzer IVs. This is their third Panzer IV, but it looks like one of his Panzer IVs will be condemned to death by this push. Nice attack round by the Su-85, rather, by Ironhide. Going to be destroying the Panzer IV with a nice aim shot, but it looks like a few mines will be going off with the flank of the Volksgrenadiers attempting to destroy these Su-76s. Unfortunately, the other Panzer IV for the Germans also going down, so 2 Panzer IVs already dead from this assault, which is definitely really good for the Allies. Excellent trade. They lost pretty much none of their vehicles, and they destroyed 2 of their enemies. And also the Luke's going down at this juncture, but I'm not really sure when. Possibly was earlier. Definitely the Lukes have been being pushed a bit too far up if it died about here. The longer the game goes on, of course, the more careful you should be with those kinds of fragile light tanks. So the T-34-76s have started to make some dents in the German defensive line on the right side. We also have a second Su-85 by Ironhide, which is, in my opinion, a mistake. In my opinion, you should have waited for the IS-2 at this point, because this does not only prevent them from getting enough pop cap for the rather enough resources for the IS-2, but also pretty much makes it so he doesn't have the pop cap to get the unit on the field as well. We'll have to lose some units. Doesn't look like he's microing these shock troops though. That wasn't a very intentional thing. And we also have another T-30 or rather an Su-85 going down on the right side from the Siag Panzer and the Schwer Panzer headquarters, pretty much going tandem and destroying the enemy tank destroyer. We also have a flank attempt by this Panzer IV, but he will be met by 2 very angry Soviet vehicles. On the left side, we have a push by Stugs. They're going to be destroying a Sherman Firefly by, I'm not sure who. Possibly Nico. Yeah, very likely Nico. He's going to be building another Sherman Firefly. He does have the munitions to pop a lot of tulip rockets. Looks like the Stug E was also destroyed, and 1 Stug G will be decrewed. But also we have the fact that, where's the AVRE? So we have the AVRE on the field. I'm not really sure why he's moving its back so much. It's not a Sturm Tiger that will be decrewed when it reloads. And it also reloads without being, looks like he destroyed a vehicle though. Yeah, he destroyed a vehicle, so I'm guessing the Stug was the AVRE he's doing. We have the anti-building flame mortar support being called in over here. And it looks like it will hit the fuel cache. Yeah, it will hit the fuel cache. It doesn't hit the buildings anymore. In the alpha for the British, it hit the OKW structures, and it pretty much like smashed them. Like the damage it's doing to the fuel cache right now, it did double to like Schwer Panzer headquarters, and so they had to nerf it. And it's kind of a nice anecdote that it used to do that. Now again, the anti-building flame mortar support is, in my opinion, a very weak ability that probably deserves a bit of a buff, but you know. So we have the Su-85s by Ironhide, and he's going for yet another Su-85. I'm really not sure about this. I'm sure he would be better off by waiting for the S2 and using that, as the enemy doesn't really have that many units that could take it out. The Jagdpanzer would be extremely good against the S2, but the other units the Germans have right now aren't very good against it, and the AVRE will predict a dodge move by the Stup G, firing in its back line, but the Stup G will stand still and fire at it, and pretty much just laugh in its face as the round goes completely past it and lets it pretty much stay safe. And looks like one of the Stug Gs was actually remanned. This one that was abandoned was remanned, but we have the British pack going to be dealing heavy damage against it. We also have the Wolfers being in trouble, but the Wolfers along with the pack will be able to destroy the Stug. The Panzer 4J from the OKW will also be in big trouble from the Stug. We have a light mortar barrage being called in by Ronin, the Assault Grenadier player, and the light mortar barrage will wipe the AT gun along with his Fallschirmjägers, so that will definitely allow the Panzer IV to escape safely. We also have another 6-pounder anti-tank gun from the British dealing heavy damage against him. Possibly might get a one last shot. No, leaves it alive with like 2% HP. Very lucky for the Germans. We have the Su-76s that are going to be destroying the right side. Sure, Panzer headquarters though. So that's excellent for the Allies. They're going to be able to completely destroy the right side. And I'm pretty sure this is it. I don't really see any way the Germans can come back. They don't really have that many units. They don't really have that many resources to get more units. Definitely one big problem that the Germans have had this entire game is a lack of coordination. They haven't really been playing together that much. And also, in general, just a lack of infantry, in my opinion. This guy, Ronin, was the only one with any kind of infantry, and he's still floating about 800 manpower. Jizz doesn't have any infantry. Over here, what's his name? Kinoma. He's got a couple of infantry squads. He's also another one of those that had infantry, but the real McLaren definitely not having any infantry. So in my opinion, that lack of infantry is what cost them the game, because it allowed the Allies to pretty much swarm them and keep the map control because they just had more capping power. And when they were done, pushing the enemy back, the Germans didn't really have anything to recapture the points they lost in the Allied pushes. Also, a lack of artillery early on is definitely at the fault of the Germans. I do believe the mechanized regiment headquarters pick by Kinoma was a mistake, as was his going for Panzer 4Js. Was definitely a mistake in my opinion. Again, what he should have done is he should have gone for a battle group headquarters more like around here, placing it about here to help out his ally with the map control, just having that reinforcement point up near the front lines, and also getting from that a couple of support guns would have definitely helped out against the pretty much support weapon spam of the Soviet players. And it would have allowed the Germans to be more prepared for the later armor swarm that the Soviets went for. Other than that, I don't really see what else they could have done on the right side. On the left side, though, definitely a lot of problems with not really being able to destroy the British emplacements, but also a very big problem was the fact that they lost that flame half track to the enemy, so RNG kind of working against them as well. Yeah, I don't really see what else I could say, and probably that wouldn't have happened if they had a lot more infantry to support the French flame half with, because even if they had made the flame half track abandoned, they could have just finished it off with the rest of their infantry and would have not allowed it to fall into enemy hands. So yes, that's pretty much it for the mistakes that we made. Also perhaps going for a more, about concentration and the coordination. They should have been concentrating more on the left side points, in my opinion. A more concentrated push against the British would have definitely destroyed the British replacement line a little bit earlier, so it would have allowed them to keep control of at least 1 or 2 victory points much further into the game. So we have a nice M5 half-track assault group over here by Major Payne. Sauron also going for a normal Churchill. We have finally a Panzer for Ronin. We did go for 2 Panzerwerfers, which is, in my opinion, a good choice, as Panzerwerfers are an excellent vehicle against defensive players. And this Churchill is probably going to die from the Panzer and etc. and the Sloop combo. But the Infantry Sherman is going to be doing some damage to the Panzer, might be actually just forcing it to retreat a little bit. Again, Infantry Sherman having pretty decent penetration, even against the front of the Panzer, can do some kind of damage. But the Churchill will be going down nonetheless, thanks to the Stug and Panzer IV flank. At the same time, though, on the right side, the Allies have been completely pushing up with their own infantry and dealing heavy damage against the enemy. Unfortunately, the Flamethrower squad was wiped for Ironhide. but it's definitely a bit of a loss, as that squad was very important for his anti-infantry capabilities, but he does have one of the shock troops. They're going to be able to destroy these Marshal Makers that are not being microed. And also, in my opinion, the teching that the Germans made, the teching choices that the Wehrmacht made, were not too great either, as were the OPW's excellent ram through the smoke, actually, going to be destroying the Panzer IV and decrewing it, actually. We also have a couple of attack rounds being used against the Panzer IVs through the smoke. Next use of Panzer Tactician, of course, by the real McLaren. Okay, talking about the teching choices. Okay, let's just put the camera on this. In my opinion, the real McLaren should have been going for tier 4 because the resource advantage that the Germans had earlier on would have meant that the tier 4 supporting a later on Tiger Ace would have been very devastating. And at this point, you could have a Panther and possibly a Tiger Ace already, along with a Panther Worker, if he hadn't gone for a lot of Panzer IVs and lost them. So definitely very reckless play with those Panzer IVs. At the same time, Ronin, who had the capability to get a Tiger, the off-map fuel intensive pick, he shouldn't have gone for a tier 4. He should have gone for tier 3 and getting out a couple of Panther 4s, perhaps a Panther 4 and Austin to counter the British infantry swarms that weren't really there, but the Austin would have been a good choice nonetheless against the British units. And again, over here, Jizz, going for tier 4 would have been good for him, to complement his artillery piece. And also, doesn't look like he used his artillery piece that well anyway, so that's definitely a pretty bad choice for him. He cannot use the artillery piece, do not go for it. And also, the positioning of the artillery is not too great. In my opinion, the artillery would have been way better placed about here-ish. Because, yes, this does give you more range, but when you're fighting so close to the artillery piece, it's actually sometimes kind of more handy to have it a little bit back to keep it safer. And just will be replaced by the AI, as the Germans have pretty much a few seconds of time left to cap a VP, and that will not happen, as they still do not have any kind of infantry outside from these assault grenadiers to cap anywhere. So they will be probably forced to surrender or watch their base be destroyed by the victory strikes. And this is pretty much it. So I want to thank you all for watching. I hope you enjoyed the cast. I hope you learned something from it, and I hope I'll see you soon. And the surrender comes in at just the last VP surrendering. GG.